Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. What if the advice that's supposed to make you rich, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate, is actually the fastest way to trap yourself in financial stress? Here's a stat that should stop you cold. According to real estate research, over 50% of landlords report negative cash flow in their first 3 years of property ownership. 50%. They own the asset. They're building wealth. And yet, they're bleeding money every single month. So today, we're going to challenge one of the biggest myths in personal finance, that buying properties fast is the path to freedom. And here's the twist. 3 of the loudest, most opposite voices in money, Dave Ramsey, Cardone, and Robert Kiyosaki, actually all point to the same hidden truth when you strip back their philosophies. Liquidity and cash flow come before assets. Every time. Stay with me. This might completely change how you think about building wealth. Here's the dream most people are sold. You buy a property. Tenants pay rent. Rent covers the mortgage. You sit back and collect passive income while you sleep. Rinse and repeat until you're rich. Sounds incredible, right? Now here's what actually happens for most beginners. You find a property. You stretch to make the down payment work. Maybe you pull from savings. Maybe you tap family. Maybe you use a high-interest loan. The mortgage goes through. You're officially a real estate investor. Congratulations. Then, the roof needs replacing. That's $12,000. Your tenant misses 2 months of rent. Your insurance premium jumps. Property taxes increase 8% this year because your county reassessed values. And you're sitting there, asset-rich, cash-poor, and completely stuck. This is the trap nobody talks about. The property has value on paper, but every dollar of liquid cash you had is now locked inside walls and a mortgage. You can't pounce on the next deal. You can't survive a 3-month vacancy without stress. You're not free. You're handcuffed to a depreciating liability disguised as an asset. Think about the math for a second. A $250,000 rental property at a 7% mortgage rate. After you factor in debt service, property management, insurance, taxes, and maintenance reserves, you might net $100 to $200 a month. If you're lucky, and one emergency wipes out an entire year of that passive income. Real estate is powerful. I want to be clear about that. But timing is everything. And jumping in before you have a cash flow foundation, that's not investing. That's gambling with your financial future. Here's the truth wealthy people understand that most beginners don't. Liquidity isn't just safety. Liquidity is power. When markets drop, and they always drop eventually, the person with cash wins. Every time. They buy distressed properties at 40 cents on the dollar while over-leveraged investors are forced to sell. They move fast. They negotiate from strength. They don't need the bank's permission. Now, and this is where it gets interesting, let's look at our 3 opponents who actually agree on this more than you'd think. Dave Ramsey, the man who hates debt with a passion. His path to real estate? Build earned income aggressively. Eliminate consumer debt. Stack savings. Then buy properties with cash or minimal leverage. He doesn't tell you to skip real estate. He tells you to build the foundation first so real estate can't destroy you. Grant Cardone, the 10x guy who loves leverage and thinks Ramsey is too conservative. But here's what Cardone actually teaches. Cash flow is king. He doesn't tell beginners to buy a single-family home and pray. He says build your income engine, your sales, your business, your brand, until you have so much cash flowing in that real estate becomes a storage vehicle for surplus. His first real estate purchases came after he had serious earned income. Robert Kiyosaki, the rich dad himself. What does Kiyosaki actually say? He's obsessed with cash-flowing assets, not appreciation speculation. He wants you buying things that put money in your pocket every month, not things that drain it. And his early path? Building business income and financial education first, then deploying capital into assets that generated real positive cash flow. 3 very different philosophies. One shared foundation: earn it, grow it, protect it, then deploy it into real estate. Let's break this down simply, because understanding this framework will change how you see your entire financial life. Income type 1, earned income. This is time for money. Your job, your freelance work, your business. It's the most taxed, the most active, but it's also your launch pad. Without strong earned income, you have nothing to invest. Ramsey built a real estate empire after building earned income through his business. Cardone sold cars and built a sales training empire before he bought a single apartment complex. Income type 2, residual income. This is income that keeps coming after the initial work is done. A course you built. Royalties. A YouTube channel. A brand. This is the bridge between active hustle and passive wealth. It multiplies your time without multiplying your hours. Income type 3, passive income. This is what everyone's chasing. Income from capital deployed into investments. Dividends, real estate cash flow, fund distributions. But here's the key. Passive income is fragile without the other two underneath it. If your passive income stream has a bad month, you need earned or residual income to absorb the shock. The sequence matters. Earned income funds your foundation. Residual income multiplies your capacity. Passive income, built on top of that, becomes true freedom, not financial pressure disguised as wealth. Build the pyramid from the bottom up, not the top down. Now here's where we go a level deeper, and this is the strategy that separates the truly wealthy from the merely comfortable. What if your money could work in two places at the same time? Here's the concept. Instead of parking your savings in a standard account earning almost nothing, you store capital in liquid, interest-bearing vehicles, high-yield brokerage accounts, dividend-producing index funds, or for some people, properly structured whole life insurance policies. Your money grows. It stays accessible. And then, here's the power move. You borrow against that asset at a low interest rate to fund a deal. Your capital is still compounding in the original vehicle. And now it's also deployed into a real estate deal or another investment. That is your money working in two places simultaneously. That is leverage without desperation. This is the be your own bank concept that's gaining traction, and for good reason. When you borrow from yourself or against liquid collateral instead of going hat in hand to a traditional lender, you control the terms. You control the timeline. You are not at the mercy of interest rate hikes or credit committee decisions. And this brings us to arbitrage, the most powerful wealth-building concept most people never learn. Arbitrage means borrowing at a low cost and deploying at a high return. If you can borrow against your portfolio at 4% and invest in a deal returning 10%, you're capturing a 6% spread without liquidating your original position. This is how the wealthy create income from thin air. Not magic. Not luck. Strategy, patience, and the liquidity to execute. But none of this works if you're over-leveraged in a liquid real estate. None of it. You can't arbitrage what you can't move. You can't seize an opportunity when every dollar is locked inside a mortgage you're barely servicing. Liquidity gives you options. Debt without cash flow gives you obligations. So let's bring this home. The real estate dream is real. Properties can build generational wealth. Cardone's apartment empire is real. Kiyosaki's cash-flowing assets are real. Ramsey's paid-off properties are real. But what's also real is the path they all took before they got there. They built income. They built liquidity. They built financial muscle before they ever took on serious property debt. Stop chasing real estate because everyone else is doing it. Stop stretching to buy a property you can't comfortably service because you think you'll miss the market. The deal that breaks you is not a deal. It's a decade of setback. Instead, ask yourself, do I have strong monthly cash flow? Do I have liquidity to survive a 6-month emergency without stress? Do I have income streams growing without my constant time? If the answer isn't yes, build that first. That is your wealth foundation. And when you have that, real estate stops being pressure and starts being power. Here's your takeaway line. Write this down. Liquidity gives you power. Assets without liquidity give you pressure. If today's video opened your mind even a little, here's what I need from you. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. Subscribe if you're not already here. And drop liquidity first in the comments below if this resonated with you. I read every single one.